Welcome back, everybody. You're here at Yesteryear TV, and this is the final video. These are the best horror films of 2009. We have already wound down the entire 2000 decades. Join me as we celebrate and show you all the best horror films of the year 2009. Let's get started. "5150 Elms Way." A young man is held hostage by a psychopath who will only let him go if he beats him in a game of chess. 5150 Elms Way. A Vampire's Tale. When a dysfunctional family moves into a remote farm, terror emerges from the darkness in the form of a vampire cowboy hell bent on revenge. A Vampire's Tale, or known as Umbridge. The Forgotten Ones. When a devastating boat crash shipwrecks a group of friends in the jungles of an uncharted island, they are savagely picked off one by one. The Forgotten Ones. After dusk they come. After life. After a car accident, a young woman caught between life and death meets a funeral director who claims to have the gift of transitioning the dead into the afterlife. Afterlife. Against the Dark. In a post-apocalyptic world, a master swordsman leads a squad of ex-military vigilantes into a hospital on a mission to rescue trapped survivors. One by one, people start to die. Albino Farm. College students exploring the Ozark Mountains for a school assignment stumble upon a group of scary redneck cave dwellers. Albino Farm. Anaconda's Trail of Blood. A genetically created anaconda, cut in half, regenerates itself into two aggressive giant snakes due to the blood orchid. Anaconda's Trail of Blood. We love Anaconda. Antichrist. A grieving couple retreat to their cabin in the woods, hoping to repair their broken hearts and troubled marriage, but nature takes its course and things go from bad to worse. Antichrist. Are you scared too? The latest craze in high-tech adventure, GeoHunt allows travelers to play hide-and-seek using GPS devices. Are you scared? The last game you'll ever play. Assault of the Sasquatch. When a merciless bear poacher is caught and arrested deep in the woods of a state park, he and his truck are taken into a neglected precinct in the heart of a dying city. Assault of the Sasquatch. Autumn. A horrible virus kills billions within minutes. The few survivors that are left have to deal with the shock of apocalypse, and they have no idea that things are about to get much worse. Autumn. Basement Jack. A young serial killer preys on families during lightning storms. Basement Jack. Evil has a new address. Yours. Beautiful as You Are. A lonely TV addict finds his co-star. Beautiful as You Are. Horror, sci-fi, and thriller. Beneath the Flesh is a collection of nightmares that will crawl under your skin and burrow its way into your mind. Beneath the Flesh. This was straight to video, and it is a scorcher. Beneath the Flesh. Bikini Bloodbath Christmas. Jenny and Sharon are stalked by a killer chef. Again, this time it's Christmas. Dark comedy, and horror. Bikini Bloodbath Christmas. Bikini Girls on Ice. A bus of college soccer players find themselves stranded near an abandoned gas station where they try to hold a bikini car wash fundraiser. unaware that a deranged mechanic lurks nearby. Horror thriller. Bled. After trying a mysterious drug, young artist Sai enters a dreamlike space and develops a thirst for blood. Sai. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you love that movie, you'll love Bled. Blood Moon Rising. A hippie chick teams up with a comic book nerd to save the world from armies of werewolves, vampires, and zombies. Blood Moon Rising. Parody and stoner comedy and horror. Blood Night, The Legend of Mary Hatchet. A group of teenagers celebrating the anniversary of the death of local axe murderer suddenly finds themselves face to face with the realities of this haunting urban legend. Blood Night. Blood, the Last Vampire. A vampire named Saya, who is part of a covert government agency that haunts and destroys demons in a post-World War II Japan, is inserted into a military school, and one by one people start to die. Murado. Where does love and lust lead you, if never die? What destiny awaits an immortal? Is there a destination for immortal love and lust? Murado. Action and horror. Blood Creek. A man and his brother on a mission of revenge become trapped in a harrowing occult experiment dating back to the Third Reich. Blood Creek. My Bloody Valentine in 3D. I love this movie. It was good. Tom returns to his hometown on the 10th anniversary of the Valentine's Night Massacre that claimed the lives of 22 people. Slasher, horror, suspense, and mystery. My Bloody Valentine. Book of Blood. A paranormal expert discovers a house that is at the intersection of so-called highways, transporting souls in the afterlife. Book of Blood. Bordello Death Tales. 3 horrifically gory tales. Stitch Girl, The Ripper, and Vice Day. 3 torrid tales of terror. Bordello Death Tales. Break. 4 young girls head out into the Canadian woods for some outdoor fun. They wind up running into 2 brutal and sadistically inhuman rednecks. A blood-soaked fight for survival ensues. Break. Breaking Her Will. A sadistic serial rapist locks a helpless young hitchhiker in his basement and starts to perform hideous acts of humiliation, torture, and psychological punishment. Breaking Her Will. Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever. A high school prom faces a deadly threat. A flesh-eating virus that spreads via a popular brand of bottled water. Cabin Fever 2. I like this movie also. It was good. Carney. A devilish creature escapes from a carnival to wreak havoc on a small town. Action, fantasy, horror, and sci-fi. Carney. This was a made-for-TV movie. Carriers. As a lethal virus spreads globally, 4 friends seek a reputed plague-free haven. But while avoiding the infected, the travelers turn on one another. Carriers. Case 39. A social worker fights to save a girl from her abusive parents, only to discover that the situation is more dangerous than she expected. Case 39. Children of the Corn. This is a remake. While traveling, an unhappy married couple encounter a cult of murderous children who worship an entity called He Who Walks Behind the Rose. We love He Who Walks Behind the Rose. That's a name. Can you imagine that? He Who... I'm going to use that one. Cinemaphobia. A young filmmaker begins shooting his perfect horror film during a movie marathon, oblivious that a real-life killer will exploit, inspire, and alter the outcome of his movie. Maybe you should get a life of your own before it's too late. Circle of 8. Jessica moves into a loft on the 8th floor of a Los Angeles apartment building called the Dante. The other tenants all seem friendly at first, but when she starts witnessing horrible deaths, she may become the next victim. Cornered. During their nightly poker game, a group of lowlifes are terrorized in their own convenience store by a masked killer. Face the evil or die. Cornered. Creature of darkness. The monster of a man's recurring nightmare turns out to be real when he and his friends go on a weekend trip to a remote area. Creature of darkness. Crush. An American student studying in Australia mistakenly gets involved with a mysterious and unhinged girl while house sitting for a rich family on vacation. Horror, mystery, and thriller. Crush. Damned by dawn. During a violent thunderstorm, a family is awoken by piercing shrieks which summon the dead to rise again. Their lives explode in a blood-soaked fury as they battle malevolent spirits. Dark and stormy night. In the 1930s, a family of old Swedish carpenter gathered for the reading of his will find themselves being murdered by a mysterious phantom, while two rival reporters compete for the story. We love phantoms. It reminds me of Scooby-Doo. Dark Fields, or The Rain, follows 3 generations of a cursed farming community that turns to human sacrifice to appease an evil that haunts the rain. Dark Fields. So it'll probably not rain unless you kill somebody. Dark Moon Rising. Small town girl meets mysterious drifter boy. They fall in love, only in this case the boy brings with him a family curse, an unimaginable horror. Dark Moon Rising. Dark Reel. Based on a rare crime scene footage of the unpublicized 1958 murder of actress Scarlett May. A supernatural horror mystery based on actual events. Dark Reel. Dawning. Takes place at a northern Minnesota lake cabin where brother and sister visit their father and stepmom. As the first night unfolds with uncomfortable small talk and tensions, tragedy strikes. Dawning. Daybreakers. We love Daybreakers. In the year 2019, a plague has transformed almost every human into vampires. Faced with a dwindling blood supply, the fracture-dominant race plots their survival. Featuring Ethan Hawke. Dead Air. Logan Bernhardt is the ego king of the airwaves, but his unflappable persona is put to the test when a terrorist bio-attack unleashes a plague of flesh-ripping maniacs on Los Angeles. Dead Hooker in a Trunk. Set in a beautiful Vancouver, 4 friends set out on an everyday errand and end up in a fight for their lives when they discover the body of a dead hooker left in the trunk. Dead Hooker in a Trunk. Dead Snow. A ski vacation turns horrific for a group of medical students as they find themselves confronted by an unimaginable menace, Nazi zombies. Dead Snow. Deadline. A screenwriter travels to an abandoned house to finish a script on time, but a series of strange events lead her to a psychological breakdown. Deadline. Deadly Little Christmas. One Christmas, a little boy loses it and kills his father and the family's housekeeper. He is put away and all is well until the 15th anniversary of the brutal murders. He escapes. Deadly Little Christmas. Slasher, horror, and thriller. Dead Time Stories Volume 1. George Romero hosts 3 horror stories. Dead Time Stories Volume 1 will not disappoint, so check it out. The McKinju. In 1969, a young man finds an anonymous letter in a glass bottle which foretold of the apocalyptic arrival of a cosmic monster known as Demiking. Soon, one by one, people start to die around them. Demon Haunt. A school teacher and her wheelchair-bound sister purchase a house that seems to be haunted by a strange supernatural force. Demon Haunt. Fantasy horror. Straight to video. Snarvane. A couple driving back to Norway reach a roadblock. They detour into the Swedish forest, which leaves them stranded. Soon a killer lurks and starts stalking them. Horror and thriller. Detour. By the Devil's Hands. The 666 killer kills 6 victims over 6 days. 6 ways to die. And unfortunately, Jamie Anderson has been chosen as victim number 6. By the Devil's Hands. Slasher horror. Dire Wolf. A half-human, half-dire wolf creature escapes a lab, unleashing a terror on a rural town. Sheriff Parker, Game Warden Jim, and government agents must stop the deadly rampage. Dino Wolf. Dismal. Dana struggles with biology. An extra credit field trip takes her group to Great Dismal Swamp. Unbeknownst to them, a cannibalistic killer lurks nearby, posing greater threat than the swamp's wildlife. Eat or be eaten. Disturbed. This was straight to video. The quiet town of Quartz is about to experience the worst night of the town's history. A notorious killer has escaped from death row with one thought on his mind: revenge. Doghouse. A group of men heading to a remote village to help one of their friends get over his divorce soon discover that all the women have been infected with a virus that makes them man-hating cannibals. Doghouse. Don't Look Up. Evil spirits released from old celluloid cause a film crew to slowly go insane while in a production on a new project. Don't Look Up. Drag Me to Hell. A loan officer who evicts an old woman from her home finds herself the recipient of a supernatural curse. Desperate, she turns to a seer to try and save her soul, while evil forces work to punish her. Drag Me to Hell. Dread. 3 college students set out to document what other people dread the most. However, one of the 3 turns out to secretly be a sadistic psychopath. Dread. 8 films to die for. Drive-In Horror Show is a 2009 hosted horror anthology movie set in a post-apocalyptic world where the few remaining human creatures may come and watch horror movies. Where they get the power. And the electricity. Evil Things. On January 9, 2009, 5 college students left New York for a weekend in the country. 48 hours later, all 5 students have simply vanished without a trace. Until now. Evil Things. Fast zombies with guns. Collateral damage, sometimes it's unavoidable. Paul attempts to kill the man who is going to rat him out by poisoning his water supply, leading to an outbreak of zombies. Fast zombies with guns. Straight to video. Fear Island. The sole survivor of a weekend getaway recounts the events leading to the murders of 6 friends on a secluded island, revealing secrets, betrayals, and a killer seeking revenge. Fear Island. Feast 3, The Happy Finish. The survivors are saved by the mysterious prophet, who seemingly has the ability to control the beasts. Along the way, they get help from a karate expert. The Happy Finish. The Final Destination. A horrifying premonition saves a young man and his friends from death during a racetrack accident, but terrible fates await them nonetheless. You cannot cheat death. Flesh, Texas. While stopping for gas in the Blackwater burg of Flesh, Texas, Donna Parker finds herself propelled into a nightmare when her daughter Tabitha disappears. Flesh, Texas. Beware of small towns, not on the map. Flicker. Camping becomes the challenge of a lifetime when Preeti wakes up to find her friend's tent torn up and bloody. Flicker. Straight to DVD. For sale by owner. A newly married couple buys property that not only has a link to the husband's past, but also to the lost colony of Roanoke. For sale by owner. Forget Me Not. Do You Remember Me? A childhood game turns terrifying for a group of high schoolers celebrating graduation. After a hide-and-seek-like game in a cemetery, the players begin to disappear one by one. Do You Remember Me? So it's about some girl getting revenge. Friday the 13th, the remake. A group of young adults visit a boarded-up campsite named Crystal Lake, where they soon encounter the mysterious Jason Voorhees and his deadly intentions. We love Jason. Jason, Mother is speaking to you. George's intervention. Addiction can ruin lives, especially when you're a zombie like George. After he eats one too many people, George's concerned friends decide it's their job to support him on a journey to recovery. George's intervention. The Offerings. A housekeeper drawn into a terrifying world of vengeful apparitions. Or, this movie is called Ghost Month, is the original title. Ghost Month or The Offerings. Ghost Town. This was straight to TV. A bus full of college students stumble across an abandoned western town and realize it is haunted by the ghosts of outlaws who brutally killed the residents and now kill visitors every 13 years on Friday the 13th. Ghost Town. Grave Danger. A woman is terrorized by a psychotic caller who terrorizes her with terrifying tales of murderous ventriloquist dummies. Grave Danger. You are in danger. You are in danger. Grotesque. A doctor kidnaps a young couple and forces them into a game of torment that slowly extinguishes their hopes for survival. Grotesque. Growing Out. A troubled songwriter discovers a human growing out of his basement floor. Comedy and horror. Growing Out. This was also straight to DVD. Guardians. Twilight Cove, a small forgotten town, is besieged by hideous creatures summoned into our dimension. It's only a matter of time before the army of creatures attacks the rest of civilization. Guardians. It's a monster mash. Horror and sci-fi. Hallettsville. Something awaits Tyler Jensen and his friends in the Hallettsville house. When Tyler's lifelong friends start dying, he must figure out a way to save himself. Hallettsville, featuring Gary Busey. Halloween 2. Michael Myers returns to Haddonfield to resolve some unfinished family business and kills everyone in his path. Halloween 2. Director Jake McDowell. Halloween 2, 2009. Halloween Night. Look Who's Stalking. Halloween Night. On Halloween Night, people start to die one by one. Halloween Night. Look Who's Stalking. Hanger. A pregnant prostitute is forced to have a brutal abortion in a dark back alley, an act of sheer violence that will eventually lead her to bloody revenge. Hanger. Payback is a bitch of a whore. Haunted Universities. A horror anthology featuring stories of students dealing with paranormal entities, from students being pursued by the ghost of a suicide victim. Haunted Universities. Haunting of Winchester House. A family moves in to look after the Winchester mansion for a few months and soon find themselves terrorized by vengeful spirits. With the help of a paranormal investigator, they unravel the mystery of the house. The Haunting in Connecticut. After a family is forced to relocate for their son's health, they begin experiencing supernatural behavior in their new home and uncover a sinister history. Supernatural horror. Heartless. Jamie Morgan, a young man with a large heart-shaped birthmark on his face, discovers that there are demons on the streets of East London. Heartless. Drama, fantasy, and horror. Hellbinders. A supernatural battle for souls plays out on the streets with lots of guns and knives. Action, fantasy, and horror. Hellbinders. Hell's Drifter. A malevolent vagrant decides to make life hell for an injured accident victim. Hell's Drifter. Hidden. Painful memories arise when Kai goes back to his childhood home after 19 years and inherits his dead mother's house. Hidden. High Lane. A group of friends decide to venture onto a trail high up in the mountains that has been closed for repairs. The already dangerous adventure turns into horror when they realize they are not alone. High Lane. This is a good movie. You should check it out. High Plains Invaders. A Wild West town hosts the strangest showdown of all. Against an invading army of extraterrestrials, outlaws and townspeople must join forces to survive. High Plains Invaders. Spiders. Hit and Run. A young woman tries to cover up a deadly hit-and-run accident, only to have the supposedly dead victim come back to terrorize her. Hit and Run. Every accident has consequences. Homecoming. A jilted ex-girlfriend plots revenge after her former beau comes back to their hometown with a new lover. Homecoming. Drama and thriller. Next up we have is Hobgoblins 2. 25 years later, and poor old McGreedy has been locked away in a mental hospital for his insane ravings about the evil hobgoblins. As camp and crappy as the original. Hobgoblins, straight to video. House of the Wolf Man. 5 strangers are invited to a castle under the pretense that one may inherit it. Little do they know what dangers await at the House of the Wolf Man. So everyone's going to die but one. Watch. The Human Centipede, first sequence. A mad scientist kidnaps and mutilates a trio of tourists in order to reassemble them into a human centipede, created by stitching their mouths to each other, rectums. The Human Centipede, first experience. Humans. A team of several researchers travel to the Swiss Alps to investigate a scientific discovery on human evolution. Humans. Hunger. 5 strangers struggle with a madman imprisons them in an underground dungeon in this nail-biting horror. Hunger. Hydra. A former Marine has been kidnapped with 3 convicts taken to a deserted island and forced to participate in a deadly game. Hydra, the Lost Island. She's no ordinary snake. Hydra. Idol of Evil. David Hilton is a mythological research expert when his friend Dr. Kingsley is kidnapped by dangerous Satanists. Idol of Evil. Imago Mortis. A series of strange murders take place in an European school of cinema, and nobody except the professors seems to understand what's happening. Imago Mortis, or Imago Mortis. Infestation. A slacker awakes to find himself weak and wrapped in a webbing. After realizing that the world has been taken over by giant alien insects, he wakes a ragtag group of strangers and together they fight for survival. Infestation. Invitation only. 5 people arrive at a party, fully unaware that the special night is just a cover for an evening of torture and murder. Invitation only. Jennifer's body. A newly possessed high school cheerleader turns into a succubus who specializes in killing her male classmates. Can her best friend put an end to the horror? Jennifer's body. Ju-on, white ghost. Kane begins seeing visions of a female ghost wearing the same yellow hat and red satchel she wore as a school child. Ju-on, white ghost. Kill theory. Whilst celebrating a graduation at a secluded vacation home, a group of college students find themselves targeted by a sadistic killer. Kill theory. Horror and thriller. Kill Your Darling. This was straight to TV. Young people disappear in Berlin's subway shafts near the Kill Your Darling disco. So there's a disco called Kill Your Darling. We love it. We love it. Immortally Yours. A coven of sexy modern-day vampires ravage the American Midwest with the thirst for blood, horror and romance, a taste for blood, and a search for immortality. Kiss of the Vampire, Immortally Yours. Late fee. A young couple's quest to rent the scariest movies on Halloween results in a real-life horror show they might live to regret. Late fee. Comedy and horror. Remember renting DVDs? Laid to Rest. I love this movie. A young girl wakes up in a casket with a head injury and no memory of her identity. She quickly realizes she was abducted by a serial killer and must fight to survive. Chrome School. Laid to Rest. Legend of the Bog. When a bog body, a 2,000-year-old murder victim preserved in a peat bog, is distributed by developers in rural Ireland, the hunter and their helpers come face to face, trying to kill him. Vampire Killers. Their women have been enslaved by the local pack of lesbian vampires thanks to an ancient curse. The remaining menfolk of a rural town send two hapless young lads out on the moors as a sacrifice. Lo, a man uses a demon to save his girlfriend, but the demon has nefarious plans. Be horror, dark comedy, and dark fantasy. Lo. Macabre. 6 friends on a road trip stumble upon a strange girl and her enigmatic mother. The mother invites them for dinner, trapping and hunting them. Slasher, horror, drama, and horror. Macabre, the mother of all horror. Malibu Shark Attack. A tsunami floods Malibu and unleashes a hunting pack of deep-water prehistoric goblin sharks, targeting a group of lifeguards trapped in their half-submerged station. Malibu Shark Attack. This was straight to TV. Mask Head. Syl and Maddie, a lesbian couple who produce extreme fetish and dark specialty movies. With the help of their sociopathic associate, the cowboy, the ladies audition numerous up-and-coming talent. Mask Head. Meat Grinder. A poverty-stricken woman starts a restaurant where she slaughters people and serves up human flesh cut from her victims. Gross, isn't that gross? She starts up a restaurant serving dead people. Mega Shark and Giant Octopus. The California coast is terrorized by 2 enormous prehistoric sea creatures as they battle each other for supremacy of the sea. Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus. Melvin. Melvin, a high school student who doesn't fit in, becomes victim of a horrible prank. Now he will seek revenge on all who... I love these people. They get picked on and they get revenge. Messengers 2, the Scarecrow. Doing what he believes must be done in order to save his family and livelihood. Farmer John Rollins places an odd scarecrow among his crops and promptly reaps the benefits. Messengers 2, the Scarecrow. Monkey Boy. A freak lived his entire lifetime closed down in a cellar far in the country. Monkey Boy. There are no bloodless fairy tales. Monkey Boy. Morris County. A horror anthology with 3 stories connected by the threat of alienation and confusion within the seemingly ideal backdrop of suburban America. Morris County. Murder Loves Killers too. The slasher movie gets molested in this wickedly funny horror thriller from writer-director Drew Bernhardt. Murder Loves Killers too. Comedy, horror, and thriller. Everyone knows killers love murders. Mutants. In the middle of a zombie apocalypse, a resourceful couple hides in an isolated, abandoned building. The woman is pregnant and the man is infected, slowly transforming into the kind of inhumane monster they are trying to escape. Mutants. I love mutants. My son, what have you done? Inspired by a true crime, a man begins to experience mystifying events that lead him to slay his mother with a sword. My son, what have ye done? Necrosis. In 2009, 6 friends arrive at an isolated cabin to enjoy a long weekend in the snow. An epic snowstorm interrupts their vacation, trapping them on the mountain, resurrecting the haunting ghost of the Donner Party. Necromantia explores the use of a tattooed Ouija board through the lives and perspectives of 4 people. So there's a Ouija board tattooed on a person, and then people start to die. Night of the Demons. A group of kids go to a Halloween party, only to have faced down a group of demons. Dark comedy, supernatural horror. Night of the Demons. All hell is going to break loose. Night of the Demons. 9 Miles Down. A security expert is sent to a remote scientific camp to investigate strange things that are happening. 9 Miles Down. Horror, mystery, sci-fi, and thriller. Offspring. Against the backdrop of grisly murders and child abductions, a clan of cannibalistic savages plagued the northeast coast since 1858 is after a family. Offspring. Old habits die hard. The Hollis family live and run a funeral home. Alice and the Hollis sisters go out on dates with men and bring them home so that her brothers can kill them and have them for supper. Old habits die hard. Ominous. When the Calhouns set off for a peaceful family vacation in the mountains, they never expected their personal demons to follow them. Ominous. Something ominous this way comes. Open Graves. I love Open Graves. A group of surfers discover an old board game which claims a life every time it is played. Open Graves. I just recently saw this about a month ago. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Orphan. A husband and wife who recently lost their baby adopt a 9-year-old girl who is not nearly as innocent as she appears. Orphan. Can you keep a secret? She starts killing people one by one. Pandorum. 2 crew members of a spaceship wake up from hypersleep to discover that all their colleagues are missing. Despite this, it appears that they are not alone. Pandorum. Dennis Quaid and Sean Foster. Paranormal Entity. Prepare to see what is allegedly the actual footage of the supernatural events leading up to the 2008 murder of Samantha Finley. Found footage horror, and mystery. Paranormal Entity. Perkins, 14. In the small town of Stone Cove, Maine, Sheriff's Deputy Dwayne Hopper is on the night shift. Horror thriller. Years have gone by, not heard from nor seen. Destined to kill, it's Perkins. Poker Run. Poker Run, live to ride to die. Robert and Alan are 2 upstanding suburbanite lawyers, husbands caught in the grip of boring normalcy, that sometimes plagues us all: the wife, the house, the cars, and the debt. Porn star zombies. A group of adult film cast and crew members must discover what it is causing their fellow stars to rapidly attack them. Porn star zombies. Comedy and horror. Dream time's over. 3 Australian couples stumble across an ancient curse in the outback, and their dream holiday turns into a nightmare that may kill them all. Dream time is over. Psycho Holocaust. On a scorching summer day, 6 friends venture into the mountains for one more vacation before their lives change forever. Unbeknownst, their lives do change forever. Psycho Holocaust. For the sake of your sanity, pray that it never happens. Psycho Shark. Beautiful girls are in danger. At Sunny Beach, a huge shark is waiting for his prey. Jaws in Japan. Psycho Shark. Original title is Jaws in Japan. Wreck 2. In order to ascertain the current situation inside, a supposed medical officer and a GEO team step into the quarantined and ill-fated apartment building. Wreck 2, a terrifying, kick-ass horror film. Red Hook. Agoraphobic freshman in New York City must join scavenger hunt to save her boyfriend from a murderous game master. Red Hook. The hunt is on. Maybe you should get a life of your own before it's too late. Red Sands. During a mission in the Middle East, a group of U.S. soldiers destroy a statue out of boredom, only to them be visited by something the next day. So you visit the statue, and now you're going to get a curse. Respire. The ancient Romans believed that the soul escaped one's body with the last breath. It was believed that the last breath held the power to cure disease and prolong life. Respire. Hold your breath. Horror and thriller. Resurrecting the Streetwalker. An ambitious young filmmaker discovers an abandoned and incomplete horror movie from the 1980s and decides to finish it. Big mistake. Streetwalker. Rise of the Gargoyles. Workmen disturbed a hidden chamber beneath the church, and a lethal creature is free to terrorize Paris. Rise of the Gargoyles. Room 33. A group of friends on a road trip seek shelter at a mental institution in the woods, only to discover that the building is home of a mysterious young girl named Roxy. Room 33. Road Drift. Laura is having a day that can hardly get any worse, but then she stumbles into a cab driver, and things are about to get even worse. Road Drift. Horror and thriller. The Pit and the Pendulum. 7 students join an experiment studying how pain can be eliminated. As students begin to disappear one by one, the true nature of the experiment is revealed. The Pit and the Pendulum. Run, bitch, run. Things go horribly wrong when Catherine and Rebecca, 2 Catholic schoolgirls, knock on the wrong door while selling religious paraphernalia. Run, bitch, run. Next up we have is Salvage. When a container washes ashore, the residents of a sleepy cul-de-sac are plunged into violence, terror, and paranoia. Ring-fenced by the military, a single mother must overcome all odds to save her daughter. Salvage. Samurai Princess. As a group of young schoolgirls walking through the woods is attacked and raped by a gang of thugs. Only one of the girls survives, but is badly injured. She recovers and gets her revenge. Samurai Princess. Satanic Panic. Inspired by true accounts, the craze that took place in the late 70s and early 80s follows in the footsteps of classic horror films from that generation. The evil is real. Satanic Panic. Saw 6. Again, Agent Strahan is dead. An FBI Agent Erickson draws nearer to Hoffman. Meanwhile, a pair of insurgent executives find themselves in another game of Jigsaw. Scare Zone. Scare Zone is Oliver's pride and joy. Sure, it's just another strip mall Halloween horror house, but as always, one by one, people start to die. Scare Zone. Do you dare be scared to death? Screamers, The Hunting. A group of humans arrive on Sirius 6B to investigate an SOS signal sent from the planet, which has been supposedly deserted since the destruction of the man-made weapons known as screamers. Sculpture. An aspiring artist is commissioned to create a life-size sculpture of some perfect men, but soon finds herself spiraling down a path of unspeakable psychopathic terror. Sculpture. Horror. Shadow. When a young soldier leaves for a mountain bike excursion, he meets the girl of his dreams, as well as a group of violent locals who want to see them dead at any cost. Shadow. Shattered lives. When Rachel, a seemingly innocent girl, is unable to cope with everyday situations, her fears manifest into an altered state of reality. Her fear was her reality. Silent Night, Zombie Night. A week before Christmas, a viral outbreak turns the citizens of Los Angeles into the Walking Dead, with characters named Santa Zombie, Raccoon, Fingers, and Little Dandy. Who can resist this horrific holiday gift? Silent Venom. An American submarine traveling through dangerous territorial waters is put in even more danger when two scientists bring venomous snakes on board. Silent Venom. Silent Venom, featuring Luke Perry. Skeleton Crew. The production of horror movie based on the true story of a doctor's sadistic snuff film takes a terrifying turn when the director gets carried away with his subject. Skeleton Crew. There's no sequel for you. I love it. Slaughter. A young woman looks to escape her abusive life by moving to a friend's farm near Atlanta. Unfortunately, she learns her place of supposed comfort offers more terrifying forms of abuse. Slaughter. Slave. Fiancés George and David head to Spain to get a wedding blessed from David's father, who has lived a criminal life. Slave. Crime and thriller. Smash Cut. After his latest film is met with horrible reviews, Abel Whitman sets out to prove the critics wrong by finding inspiration in his cast and crew. Dark comedy, and horror. Lights, camera, body parts. Smile. A group of college students go on holiday. The aspiring photographer in the group buys a camera that was used by a crime photographer. For years he captured violence and death. Now it has a new purpose and a new owner to work with. Someone's knocking at the door. Returning to the medical school where they were test subjects decades ago, a pair of outrageously twisted serial killers use shockingly brutal sex acts to start killing off a group of strangers. Sorority Row. A killer threatens to expose a fatal secret, binding a group of sorority sisters. Sorority Row. Dark comedy, slasher horror. Spirit Camp. When a street-smart goth girl is forced to attend cheerleader camp as part of her rehabilitation from juvenile court, she clashes with the popular girls. Spirit Camp, and one by one, people start to die. Splatter. After self-righteous rock star Johnny Splatter puts a bullet in his own head, only 5 people are chosen to attend the reading of Splatter's will. Splatter. Splatter comedy and horror. Splice. Genetic engineers Clive Nicoli and Elsa Cast hope to achieve fame by successfully splicing together the DNA of different animals to create a new hybrid animal for medical use. Stan Helsing, I like this movie. A spoof on many horror movie series, ending his shift at the viral video store. Stan is picked up by his BFF and two cute girls and going to a Halloween party. Will they even get there? Stan Helsing. Staunton Hall. It's the fall of '69 and winds of change are blowing across America. Horror, thriller. Staunton Hall. Look at that eerie poster. Suck. A comedy centered on a rock and roll band that will do anything to become famous. In theaters this September. Suck. This was probably straight to theaters and then straight to DVD. Summer's Moon. A family of serial killers stalk a young woman out to find the father she's never known. Ashley Green's Summer Moon. Original horror. I'm trying to make it like Twilight. My Super Psycho Sweet 16, a spoiled teenager's birthday bash, turns after she convinces her parents to reopen a roller coaster rink where murders took place. Survival of the Dead. On an island off the coast of North America, local residents simultaneously fight a zombie epidemic while hoping for a cure to return their undead relatives back to their human state. Maybe you should get a life of your own before it's too late. Surviving Evil. Knock it off, Evil. It's not funny, Evil. A TV documentary crew arrive on a remote island in the Philippines to film a survival special. Who will survive? Who will die? Sutures. A group of longtime friends converge on a fatal course with destiny when they cross paths with Alexander Tatum, a mercenary surgeon. Sutures. Creature. Sweatshop. A group of friends break into an abandoned factory in order to throw an impromptu party, unaware that it is not as empty as they originally believed. Sweatshop. The Sid Vicious of horror films. Bloody as hell. Teket. A young girl learns of the urban legend of Teket after her friend is killed in a gruesome way. The legend tells of a female ghost that has no legs. When she visits the spot where her friend died, she comes in contact with. Telltale. A man's newly transplanted heart leads him onto a dangerous journey to find out who the murdered its donor. Terror, Blood Fart Lake. The legend of Blood Fart Lake is well legendary. When a group of college kids head off to their friend's cabin for a little high-octane sex weekend, they will get more than they can choose. Terror from beneath the earth. After years of underground atomic testing, one of the animals living within Wisawa Caves stretches from Phantom Lake to the Deadlands. Thanksgiving. A homicidal turkey axes up college kids during Thanksgiving break. Next up we have is The Beacon. Haunting at the Beacon. While trying to get their lives back on track after the loss of their 4-year-old son, Byron and Paul move to the charming old Beacon apartments. Bryn begins seeing a ghostly little boy sulking around the building. The Bisbee Cannibal Club. Vegetarians are disappearing from the little town of Bisbee, Arizona. The Bisbee Cannibal Club. Dark comedy, and horror. Next up we have The Black Waters of Echo Pond. 9 friends take a holiday at a Victorian home on a private island and uncover a game that when played brings out the worst in each of them. The Black Waters of Echo Pond. Blackout. It's Christmas Eve. The city goes dark, and the few remaining tenants of the Ravenwood find themselves trapped in their building. And they are not alone. Maybe you should get a life of your own before it's too late. The bleeding, surrounded by carnage, slaughter, brutal crashes, and total mayhem, Sean Black is in the race to save the world from pure evil. That's not funny evil. The Brotherhood 5 alumni. Former Sunnydale High beauties reunite at their old school, but a murder from prom night resurfaces as someone starts killing them off one by one. I love revenge movies. The Brotherhood 6 Initiation. A group of fraternity guys hold an initiation for pledges in a secluded cabin in the woods where a homicidal lumberjack lurks. The Cell 2. The Cusp is a serial killer who kills his victims and then brings them back to life over and over again until they beg to die. The Cell 2. The Collector. Desperate to repay his debt to his ex-wife, an ex-con plots a heist at his mother's employer's country home. Slasher horror and horror. The Collector. The Commune. When J.D. Cross has to spend summer vacation with his deadbeat dad in his creepy commune, she thinks clean living and boredom will kill her. But some fates are worse than death. The Crypt. 6 young criminals break into hidden catacombs and attempt to steal jewels, but some inhabitants are guarding the precious belongings. After being trapped in this dark maze of crypts. The Crypt. The Death of Alice Blue. Alice Blue is the new creative intern at Raven Advertising. Unfortunately for her, the place is run by vampires. Next up we have is The Descent Part 2. Refusing to believe her story about cave-dwelling monsters, the sole survivor of a spelunking exploration goes horribly wrong. The Descendant Part 2. The Devil's Tomb. An elite group of soldiers on a covert mission trying to revive a scientist from the underground lab encounter as ancient evil in the city. The Dunwich Horror. A single mother delivers a monstrous baby boy, somehow connected to a dark prophecy involving the Mother Black Brood, a book called Necromaniacs, and a demonic portal. The Echo. An ex-con moves into an apartment building where he encounters domestic problems within involving a police officer, his wife, and their daughter. The Echo. The Eclipse. In a seaside Irish town, a widower sparks with a visiting horror novelist while he also begins to believe he is seeing ghosts. The Eclipse. Drama, horror, and romance. The Familiar. The Familiar is a terrifying story of a spiritual manipulation in the life of a lonely gunsmith named Sam. The Familiar. Everyone has made their demons. The Familiar. The Final Destination. A horrifying premonition saves a young man and his friends from death during a racetrack acceleration. The Final Destination. The Forgotten Ones. I believe I already covered this one. When a devastating boat crash shipwrecks a group of friends in the jungles of an uncharted island, they are savagely picked off one by one. The Forgotten Ones. The Fourth Kind, a thriller involving an ongoing unsolved mystery in Alaska where one town has seen an extraordinary number of unexplained disappearances during the past 40 years, and there are accusations of a federal cover-up. The Fourth Kind. The Garbage Man. The world's first feature film about a black serial killer, Garbage Man. This was straight to video, Garbage Man. The Good Sisters. Brianna and her young sister, Kendra, have lived together in a modest Maryland suburban house for several years. Drama, horror, and thriller, The Good Sisters. The Graves. Two inseparable sisters visit to a remote mine town turns into a mind-bending fight for survival. Next up we have is The Grudge 3. A young Japanese woman who holds the key to stopping the evil spirit of Kayako travels to the haunted Chicago apartment from the sequel to stop the curse of Kayako once and for all. The Haunting. Francesca, a young pediatrician, and her husband Pedro move to their new country house, trying to forget a tragic event that has marked their lives. The Haunting. Maybe you should get a life of your own before it's too late. The Hills Run Red. A group of young horror fans go searching for a film that mysteriously vanished years ago. The Hills Run Red. The Hole. A pair of brothers stumble upon a mysterious hole in their basement that leads to the darkest corridors of their fears and nightmares. The House of the Devil. In 1983, financially struggling college student Samantha takes a strange babysitting job that coincides with a full lunar eclipse. I'm eating some candy corns. Want some? The Landlord. The Landlord is the story of Tyler, who gets revenge on people who don't pay their rent. So you don't pay your rent, the landlord is going to kill you and then rent out your apartment. Pretty good. The Last Resort. A bachelorette weekend goes awry when the girls are robbed, stranded, and forced to take shelter in a deserted Mexican resort. The Last Resort. Look, she's holding a knife. The Loved Ones. When Brent turns down his classmates Lola's invitation to the prom, she concocts a wildly violent plan for revenge. Neighbor. Won't you be mine? A mysterious new girl arrives in a posh suburban neighborhood and quickly sets out to terrorize the town. The Neighbor. She must be the original Karen. The Ritual. A serial killer begins the process of grooming a protege until outside influences threaten to destroy their sadistic relationship. The Sacred. A group of students travel to a remote and sacred Native American patch of land. In order to compete for a thesis on Native American folklore, some places are better left alone. So everyone's going to die in this film. The Shortcut. Two brothers come upon a rarely used shortcut in their new town. As you can tell, they're going to die. Oh, candy corn. The Stepfather. Michael Harding returns home from the military school to find his mother Susan happily in love and living with her new boyfriend. As the two men get to know each other, he becomes more and more suspicious of the man who is always there to help. The Telling. For their final task as sorority pledges, 3 girls must tell the scariest story they know. Once they finish, the books are in. But has someone taken murder to heart? Everyone's dying to be there. The Terminators. A small band of resistance fighters battle the cyborgs that have taken control of the planet. This was straight to video, folks. Look at the cyborgs. The Thaw. The Thaw. A research expedition to the Arctic discovers that a melting polar ice cap has released a deadly prehistoric parasite. The Thaw. We love The Thaw. We love it. The Tomb. An engaged writer falls under the spell of a mysterious temptress who steals souls. The Devil. Her body, your soul. The Turn of the Screw. A naive and sexually repressed young governess is haunted by the ghosts of previous occupants of a mansion. The Turnpike Killer. Hulking and vicious homicidal maniac John Beast hears voices that compel him to brutally butcher women. All roads lead to death. You're going to love The Turnpike Killer. It screams 80s horror. The Uh-Oh Show. The film revolves around a game show, The Uh-Oh Show, where contestants play to win lots of money by answering trivia questions, but appear to be dismembered for every wrong answer. Uh-oh. The Uninvited. Anna returns home after a stint in a mental hospital, but her recovery is jeopardized by her father's new girlfriend and ghastly visions of her dead mother. The Uninvited. The Grudge 3. A young Japanese woman who holds the key to stopping the evil spirit of Kayako travels to the haunted Chicago apartment from the sequel to stop the curse of Kayako once and for all. When you have to say the words perfectly. The Last House on the Left. After kidnapping and brutally assaulting 2 young women, a gang unknowingly finds refuge at a Vatican belonging to the parents of one of the victims. The Last House on the Left. The Loved Ones. When Brent turns down his classmates' Lola's invitation to the prom, she concocts a wildly violent plan for revenge. I think I've just covered this already, so just bear with me if I have a few repeats. That's okay. The New Daughter. A single father moves his 2 children to rural South Carolina, only to watch his daughter exhibit increasingly strange behavior. How far will a father go to protect the ones he loves? Crime, horror, and thriller. The Revenant. In Los Angeles, a fallen soldier who has joined the ranks of the living dead reunites with his best friend in order to deal with the city's drug dealers and killers. The Revenant. Comedy, fantasy, and horror. Alright. We have next is The Skeptic. A lawyer who does not believe in ghosts inherits a house that may be haunted. The Skeptic. Featuring Tim Daly. The Unborn. When Casey Belden witnesses a series of paranormal activities around her, she takes the help of a spiritual advisor and soon finds out a frightful family secret solely responsible for her condition. Unborn. The Unborn. Tony. A thriller centered on a serial killer in rundown London suburb. The London Serial Killer. Tony. I'm Tony, and I'm fine. Next up we have is Tormented. A bullied teenager comes back from the dead to take revenge on his classmates. We love it when people get killed off and they come back for revenge. It's like they're mad that got killed and he can't live his life anymore. Transylvania. Spoof horror in which a group of college kids do semester abroad in Romania and realize that if the party doesn't kill him, the vampires just might. Transylvania. Parody, comedy, and horror. Triangle. 5 friends set sail and their yacht is overturned by a strange and sudden storm. A mysterious ship arrives to rescue them, and what happens next cannot be explained. Triangle. Triangle. The Twilight Saga, New Moon. After Edward leaves because of an incident involving Bella, Jacob Black Jacob Black becomes her best friend, but what Bella doesn't realize is that Jacob also has a secret that will change their lives utterly. Uncharted, the story of a documentary film crew who crash on an island when they were in hopes of finding a rare animal, a jaguar that is believed to inhabit the jungle. Uncharted. Underworld, Rise of the Lycans, a prequel centered on the origins of the centuries-old feud between the race of aristocratic vampires and their former slaves, the Lycans. Underworld, Rise of the Lycans. Action, fantasy, horror, and thriller. Vacancy 2, The First Cut. 3 young people check into the Meadow View Inn for a night's rest, fully unaware of the inn's sick-minded employees and their nefarious intentions. Vacancy 2, The First Cut. Vampires in Vegas. When a 300-year-old vampire hires a genetic scientist to research a cure, she inadvertently unleashes a scourge of vampires upon unsuspecting partygoers in Las Vegas. Vampire in Vegas. Vampire Killers. Their women having been enslaved by the local pack of lesbian vampires thanks to an ancient curse, the remaining menfolk of rural towns send 2 hapless young lads out onto the moors as a sacrifice. Lesbian Vampire Killers. Wake the Witch. When Deb and her friends play a childhood game on their witch's wooded grave, they unleash a witch's curse. Her search for the truth will reveal an evil beyond her imagination. Evil weaves a wicked web. Wakewood. The parents of a girl who was killed by a savage dog are granted the opportunity to spend 3 days with their deceased daughter. The Wakewood. Beware those you love the most. Beware. Walled In. Supervising the raising of a mysterious building, a young demolition engineer discovers past inhabitants entombed within its walls by a vicious murderer. Walled In. War Wolves. A special forces unit heads back to the USA to hunt down a soldier infected with a werewolf virus. Little do they know that 3 of the female soldiers serving in the unit have also been infected and transformed into she-wolves. Werewolf Fever. A werewolf attacks a fast food restaurant, terrorizing the employees. B-Horror and Horror. Werewolf Fever. Terror is in the menu. And look at the blood dripping from the leg on skates. A Blood Pledge, Broken Promise. 4 friends make an oath, sworn in blood, to commit suicide one night, but next morning only one is found lying dead on the school grounds. A Blood Pledge, Broken Promise. Wolvesbane. In 1887, the powerful vampire Lilith is vanquished by a vampire council and 4 amulets. Wolvesbane. Soon, they get together and one by one people start to die. Wonton Baby. Former brothel owner struggles to protect her family from a parasitic twin. Wonton Baby. Comedy and horror. Next up we have is Wrong Turn 3, Left for Dead. When their transfer bus crashes into West Virginia forest, a group of convicts and 1 correction officer meets a raptor who is on the run from cannibalistic hillbillies who have murdered her friends. Wyvern. They find a live wyvern in small town Alaska. Ancient evil has come to feed. Wyvern. Le Reptile Violent. Wyvern. This was straight from TV. Zombie Dearest. Comedy and horror. When failed comic Gus pushes his wife too far, he finds himself chasing her across the country to the abandoned farmhouse of her childhood. Little do they know they are attacked by zombies. Zombie Werewolves Attack. Satire, comedy, and horror. The film is about a small group of friends that are enjoying a party only to have it crashed by uninvited guests. Zombie Werewolves Attack. Remember, it's like comedy, parody, horror. Zombie Women of Satan. Dark comedy, horror, and romance. A traveling group of freaks headed by Pervo the Clown go to a rural farm to take part in a webcast interview to help them gain more followers. Zombie Farm. A voodoo priestess raises a zombie horde to exact her personal revenge. Zombie horror, fantasy horror. Zombie Farm. One of my favorite movies is Zombieland. A shy student trying to teach his family in Ohio a gun-toting bruiser in search of the latest Twinkie, and a pair of sisters striving to get to an amusement park join forces and trek across zombie-filled America. Zombieland. We love Zombieland. ZMD, Zombies of Mass Destruction. Life is wonderful for the people in the quiet island town of Port Gamble until a zombie virus outbreak. Zombies of Mass Destruction. Zone of the Dead. Interpol agents must join forces with dangerous prisoners to fight zombie hordes. The city is a living hell. Zone of the Dead. This movie's good. If you like zombies, you'll love Zone of the Dead. And last one we have Lobisomen na Amazonia. In a search for a powerful hallucinogen, 5 friends embark on a dangerous journey deep into the Amazon. But a bad trip isn't the only threat, as they discover, when they stumble across a hidden camp, a murderous animal-human hybrid. Those were the scariest films for 2009. We have just finished the 2009 decade and the last decade, the 2010 decade, up to 2019. We're going to stop there because obviously the 2020 decade is in full force. It's 2025, and we want to make sure we have all the best horror films of the 2020 decade when this decade wraps up. What were your favorite horror films of 2009? Were there any films I may have left out for 2009 that you remember seeing or that were released that I did not cover in my list? This list is not all inclusive, but these were all the best horror films, the scariest horror films for that year. You have now watched the entire complete series of the best horror films for every decade from the 30s through 2010. And that's 10 videos per each decade. They're on my channel, they're on my playlist. So if you love horror films and you want to see what films were scary in 2005, 1974, 1986, check out my playlist. I show you every horror film that was released for that decade. So if you don't know what to watch, check out those videos because I give you a little synopsis of what these videos are about. All right, I'm Tony. You're here at Yesteryear TV. Thank you so much for joining me for this great series of the best horror films of 1930 through 2010. I'm Tony. Thanks for watching Yesteryear TV. Check out my playlist. I have several videos, fun videos of pop culture, movies, and so on. And stay tuned for our next series. And I'll give you a little teaser when it's about to be released. All right, I'll see you folks real soon. Thanks, everyone.